Now that it's out of the way, I'm going to show you how to navigate and how to move around Blender. First of all, you don't have to worry that there are too many options, too many things here, because what you want to keep in mind is the 80-20 rule, which means that we're going to be using 20% of Blender's features and Blender's tools to do 80% of the work. So you don't have to know everything about Blender. There are many things. I've been using Blender for years, and there are many things that I'm finding out almost every day. There are tools that I haven't heard of before, so don't worry about that. Blender is very huge, but we need to know 20% of the stuff. Now, first I'm going to show you how to navigate around Blender in the viewport, because it's a very important part and you're going to be doing that a lot. So first thing you notice is this big giant space here, which is called the viewport. We're going to spend most of our time in the viewport when we're making animations. We have different menus over here, but we're going to go through them later. First, I want to show you how to navigate, because once you learn the proper navigation in Blender, it's going to open a lot of doors for you. So first thing is we need to zoom in and out. So if I want to zoom in and out, I'm going to use my scroll wheel on my mouse right here. So I'm going to scroll in and I'm going to scroll out. So again, if you use your scroll wheel, you can go ahead, zoom it in and zoom it out. Now, if I want to rotate around these objects, so we have a cube, we have a camera, and we have a point light. If I want to rotate around those, I'm going to click and hold on my middle mouse, and then I'm going to move my mouse around. So I'm going to click and hold on my middle mouse, and then rotate around the objects if I want to. So again, keep practicing. Zoom in and out, and then rotate around the objects. Now, what we also want to do is go side to side, which is called panning. So the panning is done by clicking Shift, and then clicking and holding middle mouse as well, and then dragging it either left or right. So again, click and hold on Shift, click and hold on middle mouse, like it's shown on the bottom left of the screen, and then move it around. So these three are very, very important if you want to learn how to navigate in Blender, and they're pretty easy to master. You need like 5 to 10 minutes of playing around with them. So once this lecture is over, I recommend to sit for 5 to 10 minutes if you're a complete beginner, and then spend time by zooming, rotating around, panning around, and all that stuff so that you get used to it. Now, I want to show you different view options as well in Blender. So first, we're in this default 3D view, the default 3D perspective view, where we see everything in the 3D space. But sometimes we want to look at the character or an object from the side, like you would, for example, look something on a 2D animation or on a paper. So basically a flat orthographic view. Now we can achieve that by using the numpad on the keyboard. If you don't have a numpad, I'm going to show you how to do it without the numpad later. But first I'm going to show you how to do it with numpad. So if I click on numpad 1, as you can see, I enter this flat view. And again, if I want to move around inside this flat view, I can click on Shift middle mouse and then pan around. If I click on middle mouse, it's going to exit this view. So again, go to 1, click on 1, and then you can either zoom in and out or pan side to side. So numpad 1 is the front view. Now if I click on numpad 3, I'm going to enter the side view. And if I click on numpad 7, I'm going to enter the top view. This is very useful while 3D modeling or while making animations or while doing other operations in Blender. And once you get more experience, you're going to find these buttons very handy. So if I want to enter front view, it's 1. But if I want to enter the back view, it's Control numpad 1. Again, same goes for side view. If I want to enter right view, it's numpad 3. If I want to enter the left view, it's Control numpad 3. Numpad 7 is the top view, and Control numpad 7 is the bottom. So yeah, don't worry if it's too confusing right now. You mainly need to pay attention to the zoom in and out, rotating and panning around. Now, first of all, if you don't have a numpad on the keyboard, I highly recommend you to get it, because if you're making Minecraft animations or any other type of animations or modeling or any other things in Blender, it's very, very handy to have a numpad. But if you don't have a numpad, then you can go ahead on the right side and use these little buttons to achieve the same results. So if I click on Z, I'm going to enter the top view. If I click on X, I'm going to enter the front view. And then if I click on Y, I'm going to enter the side view. And that pretty much does the same thing. And you can also use these buttons for the same things we discussed in the beginning. So you know how we discussed zooming in and out, rotating, panning. You can do the same things with these ones. So first of all, if you want to rotate around the objects, you can go ahead and click on the circle, click your mouse, and then drag it. Hold it and drag it. And it's going to do the same thing we did with the scroll wheel. Now you can also go ahead and zoom in on objects with this one, this magnifier glass. So you can click and hold this, and then move it forward and move it backwards if you want. And you can click on this hand and then drag it side to side. Now you also might see this camera button and this grid button over here. I'm going to show you what this grid button does. Basically, it enters the orthographic view. So remember how we did front view, side view, top view? You can also have the 3D view, but you can do it by numpad 5. And this enters the orthographic view, which is also useful in some cases. And you can go ahead and do that with the same button over here. So click this to enter the orthographic view, and then click this to exit this. And if I hover over it, as you can see, it tells me that I can do it with numpad 5 as well. So if I click on numpad 5, I'm going to achieve the same results. Now, you can also see this camera button over here, and you might not know what this does if you're a complete beginner. If not, then you already know what this does. And as you can see, the shortcut for this is numpad 0. Now, if I click here, as you can see, I just jumped in the camera view. Some areas are grayed out, and I only see like small portion of the scene. If I want to exit this, I can either click this again, or click on the middle mouse anywhere, and then rotate and then exit the scene. Now this thing over here is a camera, and we're going to be using that a lot while we're making animations. And camera has its own settings and its own properties, which we're going to go through later. But what we want to do for now is learn how to enter the camera view, which we just learned. You can either click on this button or click on numpad 0. I usually like to click on numpad 0 to enter the camera view and exit the camera view. And this is how you easily enter the camera. And this thing right here is a point light, which we're going to discuss later.